this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. You ain't seen nobody like this. You ain't seen nobody like this. You hear my sound all over town singing. Whoa. I think there's something in the water. If you wanna take a sip, but be careful what you wish for. The faint of heart can't handle it. Everybody wants a piece of someone else's prize, but it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. You ain't seen nobody like this.
Good evening and welcome to SA Soccer Roundtable. My name is Harry. Joining me tonight is Rafa and Royce. Royce, how are you? We missed you last episode. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it was one of those Murphy's Law kind of days where I worked late, and then there was bad traffic, and to the point where there was an overturned trailer, and I didn't get home until y'all were just about finished. So, yeah, lame.
Rafa, how are you? You avoided the winter frost?
I got had a defrost yesterday, being in the shade there at Back West, just, live streaming some of the games, and I did my little debut commentating the games. So if you're on the Facebook page, you get to hear my voice commentating on some of the golazos I got to see on yesterday's Ian's Cup game.
So just kind of a quick update here. Going forward as we get prepared for the season here, with high school season in full swing here, we're going to split up the shows. So Sunday morning, especially during the season, we're going to try to do a post game, a review show at that point. Maybe, and then depending on the week, depending on work schedules, later in the week, we'll try to do a preview show of the next game here. So there may be 1 to 2 SAFC / Athenian / whatever, lower league teams that are in town. I know we got an MPSL team as well that we'll also be focusing on, depending on how much communication we're able to get. And high schools will be a midweek show for that here. Reason why we're doing that, number one, instead of having an hour and a half show, try to have them 30 minutes, 45 minutes, just, shows here. Number two, especially for the high schools, that way, if we want to have on more guests or along those lines, it's not as cramped. And we can give the full attention to that here. So just a heads up, this show will be this show is going to be mainly SAFC. A little bit Concacaf, just at the end for that here. High school will be coming up. So SAFC, Royce, we're going to catch up with you because last week there were a couple of huge moves that I would like to get your thoughts. We'll start with the appetizer. Leo Torres was loaned to Real Monarchs of MLS Next Pro. Wasn't a sell like I was hoping. A loan. I know Rafa mentioned maybe it's one of those loan to buy, buys possibly for that here. But your thoughts on Leo not really getting a chance here with San Antonio FC, at least, during game action. I'm sure he had chances in practice.
I honestly don't think it's did not get a chance. I think that's where Leo wants to go. Obviously, I mean, he's 17. He's going to make a decision. He's not 18 yet. At the same time, you got to respect the player for what he wants. He may not want to go to Europe, like Gallegos. And maybe he just sees kind of himself in MLS. And at the same time, you could do a lot worse than going into the Real Salt Lake program. As far as not being a transfer, being a loan to buy, he's still young at the same time, and they wants to keep his options open in case maybe he does want to go to Europe eventually, because he still can't do that because he's still not 18. But at the same time, the move is very exciting for him. Obviously, he opened a lot of eyes over there in Salt Lake City. At the same time, He obviously built a good rapport over there, and they really like him, and that's exciting. That's exciting for him. It's exciting for any San Antonio youth. I know we've had a lot of former academy players that were on the roster. They've moved on to college, which has been great. That's been great to see. Obviously, Josh Ramsey's at North Dakota, and you have a number all over the place. The same school that
Charlotte has one. Was it?
Charlotte, exactly.
Abraham Lincoln, I think. If Lincoln, Abraham
did
Lincoln
go to Charlotte? A lot of guys went to a lot of places. Dildy went to college. Lincoln went to college. Rocky Lopez went to. All these are D1 athletes, which is huge. That's amazing to show where the academy has gone and how successful the players have been after the academy. So it's great. It shows just how powerful that academy is, and it's, it's still growing in what it can do. It's still growing its name, and it's already one of the top academies in the nation.
Prophet, any thoughts on Leo? I know we kind of touched base on it through there, but any thoughts on what Royce was saying?
Yeah, look, we're just kind of piggyback on Royce. It's just a good opportunity for him. Like I said, maybe he does have different vision of a route going to as far as his career. Jose is up in Europe. Maybe he's going to Real Monarchs as maybe a lot better path for him. So, and then like I said, it just shows that Monarchs is really interested in him, and who's to say, he ends up becoming on the first team for Real Salt Lake in the near future, which is a good possibility if he does well this coming year and so forth. So, but also, like I said, he can always come back, and maybe he ends up getting signed by us, and then he decides he takes that role like Jose did, and works through it, and maybe takes him to that path to Europe. So, being at 17, he's got a lot of options. So there's like really no rush, but hopefully, like I said, wherever he ends up, he's gonna be successful at it.
The other one, which I think we were all excited to see, and Royce was the first one to catch it at 3:30ish in the morning. San Antonio transferred Jose Gallegos to Danish Superliga club Sønderjyske. I believe that's how that is pronounced. So your thoughts, and I know you've kind of caught a couple of the friendlies that they're having, I guess, because they're not preseason, they're mid-season, but they take a break.
The Danish league takes like a 2 or 3 month break for winter, which is great. And so their first official league match is on the 18th. So I mean, it's still 2 weeks away. Luckily I had my dad alarm on, and I got up at 3:30 and decided to get up and go brew a pot of coffee. And while I was sitting there deciding to go through social media, I did my usual searches, and Gallegos had a new one from language I don't speak. So I speak a little bit of German, I speak a little bit of Spanish, and mostly English, and Danish. Nope. So went to Google Translate, and went to Google Translate, and my eyes went wide open. It's exciting, man. It's Danish Superliga. It's not a second division team. There are some exciting points to his contract. Number one, it is 4.5. Number one, it's in Europe. That's what Jose wanted. And he's immediately going to get an opportunity on this team. And I think that's why he went. That's number one. It's in Europe. Number two, it is a 4.5-year contract. They believe in this player, and they believe he will develop to be able to sign on for a profit, which is huge. And they're really
highest player, right?
Yeah, it's their second highest transfer ever. That's correct. So they obviously believe in the kid. And number three, they are in relegation trouble. They are in second to last place in the relegation position. So they need some points. They need some points quick. And watching their preseason matches, I can see why. At the same time, I will say that second preseason match was a lot more convincing, and the team was a lot more organized on that second match than that first match. Now, whether that, and I honestly think that second team they played was probably the better team. They pressed a lot a lot better. They pressed well. Their press was a lot better than the first team. At the same time, what was I going to say? Their press was a lot more organized. They seemed to be a more physical club. At the same time, Sonderevsky seemed to play out of the press a little bit better. They did create a lot of chances, the other team, to the point where I think it should have been 3 or 4-0, maybe 3 or 4-1. At the same time, like I said, that second game, they just looked a lot more. They created a lot more chances, whether that be because Jose played the entire second half of that second match. In the first match, he got maybe 20 minutes. And he didn't necessarily, in that first match, he didn't necessarily look dangerous, but he definitely had a little bit more sauce than everybody else. He was looking for passes, but he just kind of got a feel of the match. That second match, he definitely got stuck in a lot more. He got the whole second half, and I think he looked good in that second half. He did have some poor touches, let the ball get away from him, but he definitely found himself in a lot more dangerous positions in that second match. He got a shot on goal in that second match. It wasn't the most stinging, but it was a shot on goal. On the right way, and he found himself making some really good runs, and he showed the potential to show why he will be so important to Sonderevsky in the second half of their season to try to get out of the relegation zones to survive, to stay in the Superliga for next season.
And one of the exciting things about the setup that the Danish Superliga has is he's going to get, so they split the league in half. So the teams that were excelling, they have the opportunity to fight for Europe. The teams at the bottom, they play each other, and then the bottom two go down. Right now, Sonderevsky's second from the bottom, but they're going to be playing against teams that aren't the best.
Right.
They're better than what they've been. Don't get me wrong,
right.
But they have a fighting chance to stay up.
Correct.
And that's what I'm excited about, for Jose, because I think all three of us were in the chat that first match.
Yep.
They were all saying, "Hey, we're begging for offensive talent. We're begging for somebody to be able to play, do some attacking."
Yeah. And from what it looked like on that first match, on the first two matches, their defensive back line wasn't the most organized in the world. They let in a lot of crosses in, and those crosses got through. So it wasn't just that they're getting beat on the wings. They're also getting beat with the crosses, with the runs other teams were making. So I will say off the bat, if they do go down, it's probably not going to be because of offensive production. It's going to be because of goals conceded. At the same time, if you can't really organize a back line that well, how do you make up for that? You score goals. And yeah, Jose was definitely the most dangerous offensive player going forward on that team. He made some great dribbles, but like I said, he had some poor touches, but he's also out of season. That's a big thing. And this is it's interesting how this is all worked out with the January window. This is typically when he'd be warming up. So he's coming in and he's going to be fresh, and his legs are going to be fresh, and we'll see him really bring what he has here in a month or two with Sonderevsky. And man, we'll be watching. I know a lot of us were watching. I know we'll watch that last game, and I kind of joked, I got up at 5:30, so you didn't have to. But it was, man, I'm excited to watch him. It's great. Sonderevsky, their fans seem great. They're really welcoming. They're awesome because they're even reminding me when the matches started. So it's awesome. And I'm glad he went to a team like that with a community like that. So they seem very, very excited, as we are here back in San Antonio for Jose's stint there.
So then moving to SAFC roster moves, and we'll start with the one last week, just because you didn't get a comment, and it kind of plays into the one announced this week. They signed Kristen Bonilla from Colombia the day after announcing Jordan Farr, and we happened to be on the when Jordan Farr got announced. If you look at Transfermarkt, he has a very high rating. I want to say it was 770,000 as far as the value that he has. And I know that's not a perfect, but it's a good barometer to, as far as what his skill set and along those lines is. Initially, I thought that he would be coming in and starting over Farr. I've kind of backed off that based on some of the social media chat that I've heard back and forth kind of on him, but he's got the skills. He's won silverware. He's played, for Colombia's national team, at the Olympics. He was at the start. He was a starter that got through the knockout stages. They lost in the first stage of the knockout round. So your thoughts on Bonilla coming in?
Sorry, of course, right now a commercial airliner flies over at 2,000 feet over my house. That's what I was looking at on my phone right now is a stupid radar. I was like, that's loud. That's an exciting signing. There are certain things that certain people, maybe on this podcast, maybe elsewhere that we heard that people thought that goalkeeping was a weak point on the roster in 2021, and it seems like San Antonio FC listened to them and changed that significantly. This is a big signing for the league in general. Christian Bonilla is a very proven goalkeeper. He's not just a dude you're loaning from MLS. He's not just a, let's try to get the Golden Gloves winner from. No, they were like, we're going to South America. We're going to get a solid goalkeeper in top South American leagues, and we'll bring him over. This will be fine. And that's exactly what they did. And he's good, guys. Real good. And Jordan Farr, and this is, go with me here. Christian Bonilla is a finished product for what he has hit the length of his career. He's 28. He's almost 30. He could still improve. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, he is a well-polished player. Jordan Farr, the thing that we did see last season at the end, he has a lot of potential. He has the potential to be better than any goalkeeper in history in the USL. I think that he has the physical traits and he has the reaction time to be, in those two things you don't teach, but you polish. He could be one of the best ever. So I think they brought him in as the backup to Christian Bonilla. I thought he was going to be number one, but they brought in Bonilla. Bonilla is a very polished player. I think Bonilla is going to be number one. Jordan is going to be number two. Now, is it going to be like previous years where the number one plays 33 games and the number two will be lucky to get one plus some friendlies and Open Cup? I don't think so. I think this is going to be a lot closer to a two-headed monster in net for SAFC. And that's, not necessarily split, not equal, not 50-50.
Like 60-40?
70-30. I think is what it's going to be. I think it's especially with, there's a few instances where we play 3 games in a week. I think you see, probably Jordan get 2 of those games in a week and then Christian getting 1 so he can keep that routine of getting 1 game a week. And that's kind of what I see.
What Matt's put on here is what I've also heard is that, and this is on social media. I haven't watched him play by any means. But Matt, Gomez, just tweeted or on Facebook said he's not good with his hands.
Okay.
He's not the comment I heard is that he doesn't have arms, which is, the
same
thing there. Yeah. For Bonilla.
Bring him here. I got him. Hands club right here all day, baby.
Well,
I'll take him through some baseball throw training. We'll get some,
we'll
get some weights and we'll get some medicine balls.
His footwork though is top notch,
right. Exactly.
And this is going to be what Robert's talking about here.
Right.
Sweeper keeper. Go ahead, our goalkeeping coach, Rafa.
Yeah, La Madrid. I think La Madrid will polish him as far as with the technique, with the handwork technique. I mean, to me, La Madrid's probably the best goalkeeping coach in USL. That's just bar none. Look at all the goalkeepers he's gone through, and he's gotten a couple Golden Glove winners. everybody, like I said, even with Matt Cardone, he's still a good. Like I said, he made him a good keeper. So I think he'll learn from this. But the big thing is he's got that experience, being in the Colombian first division, especially with Millonarios, which is a team that's won the Copa Libertadores. Having that experience is going to pay big dividends for us, especially with some of the big games. Because now we're going to play the Phoenixes. Now we're going to play the Loyal and so forth. So coming up, so I think that's the splash that I think they had to make, and then just having Jordan on board is just the insurance policy that we had that we didn't have last year.
So then we turn to this week. Or actually, late last week, they posted a picture of training camp, and when they posted it, I spotted the beard, and then I was looking at the numbers just to make sure it's not Cody Lorenzi coming back, out of retirement and not telling us. But Matt Cardone was in camp. SAFC didn't exactly hide it. And then last Tuesday, I think is because they don't do announcements on Mondays. Tuesday, they announced that Mr. Matthew Cardone, the beard, returns for season 7. So last year we went one, starting goalkeeper, one youth goalkeeper. At least on paper, we've got 3 starting number ones. We'll start with you, Rafa. Now, there's question marks about, his health, although with him being back, him being signed, that tells me he's either not that far away or maybe not hurt at all.
He could be 80%, or he can be 100%. But surprising when I saw on Instagram say, "Hey, who's that guy in the beard in green in a Puma jersey?" And I can tell he was swinging it up a bit. So that tells me that he's able to do some things. We don't know how much. Just a surprise that we have. I thought after signing the other 2 keepers are like, okay, this might be the end for Cardone, but then all of a sudden he's there at training camp. So, what plans the SAFC has, we'll find out. No terms of the contract weren't given, so we don't know. We'll just leave it as that. But it's good to see him back. After that horrible injury he had, at least he's coming back and getting a workout, working with the team and so forth. So, who knows what, it's nothing wrong having 3 good keepers, because you never.
I don't know. I'm going to push back on that.
But I'm just saying as far as having depth, and we don't know what SAFC has plans. Is he loaned out? Is he sold to another team? We don't know. Or, like I said, has the injury. They signed him just in case, just to kind of rehab him back along to get him ready, to game shape or so forth at 100%. So, I guess we'll know sooner or later what the capacity is as far as with Cardone being with the team.
So, Robert, I think you said Cardone is always a mystery man. No social media, doesn't say much, just to himself. So, in other words, you're saying he's the perfect SAFC player, and just on how
he is the perfect Spurs employee. Beautiful. Yep, he's the Matt Bonner of SAFC. Write it down.
So, your thoughts? Number 1 on the beard coming back, and number 2, how do you see this playing out, Royce?
Dude, I think it's exciting. So it seems like, go with me here. Whenever the Spurs Sports Entertainment brass went to the watch party to go watch the games, it seems like they are a lot more invested. It seems like they've really given Tim Holt, a bit more leeway as to go sign players. There's been some pretty top players brought in. At the same time, this seems like they're fixing a problem that they had last season. They didn't have enough keepers last season. They had Matt Cardone and Carlos Mercado. That was it. Like that's unfair to Carlos Mercado to put him as, as a kid being as the backup. And then they had to go out and emergency go sign Jordan Farr just to make a playoff run. Like that's unfair. And it seems like they fixed that. And this is how they fix that. Do I speculate that he'll go out on loan? No. I think these are your three keepers. One of these keepers is going to win the job. We'll see who it's going to be. I think it's open. I think this is a very open goalkeeping position. And I think Juan La Madrid and Ella Marcina stuck a flag and went, whoever gets a starting job, it's open. It's up to y'all. Let's figure it out. Let's go. We got preseason. We'll see who gets. And that's one of the things that I mentioned last off season. If you remember, people were complaining we had too many midfielders. Oh, we got another midfielder. And what happened?
Now we don't have enough.
I think there's a lot of trialists, a lot of people. Well, we know of one that is going to hopefully be announced. I think that's a really good signing. But that was the complaint last season. Too many midfielders. And what ended up happening? We almost didn't have enough midfielders. And at the same time, what happened to the back line? We had to basically get a brand new back line. That's how it goes, man. You think you have enough depth? 34 games, 36 games. It will show you.
And that was without Open Cup as well.
Yeah. We all thought that we were going to get possibly like a third keeper sometime midway.
Yeah.
Just in case, but that just never materialized.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they never did that. Who knows? Because I assumed, okay, well, we have two. We'll probably get a third one as a transfer or a loan or, around the summertime. But that just didn't happen. And we just got lucky that we were able to get that emergency keeper with Jordan. And, I guess they kind of learned their lesson. They're like, well, let's just have three just in case.
So this is according to the article by San Antonio FC and the communications team. Cardoni is the last player since the inception in 2016. He was also a former member of the Scorpions, so he's the last crossover. For that here, he is the all-time leader in games played, minutes played, clean sheets at 25, saves at 327. Last year, he had 32 matches and had a season record of 99 total saves. Prior to that injury in I want to say early second half of the last match, or right at the end of the first half. For that here, or else he would have got 100 saves for the year. Overall, SAFC's had 112 matches in all competition for over 9,962 minutes for that here. So the dude is a legend as far as for San Antonio goalkeepers. And as Rafa's mentioned, from Josh Ford, Cardoni, down to Diego Restrepo, San Antonio FC has been very fortunate to have quality goalkeepers. And looking at our roster, I don't think that's changed. Next one that was announced was from Colorado Springs, former RGV player, formerly last year with Colorado Springs, midfielder Deshane Beckford. He is a Jamaican international attacker, and of course, he strengthens the roster. Royce, your thoughts on Beckford coming in? He's a midfielder / forward, 5 goals, 7 assists last year with Colorado Springs. Also had 59 crosses. I don't know if they were accurate or, on there. I couldn't find that stat, but he's one that plays on the wings. Obviously 5 goals, 7 assists, had 59 crosses. Your initial thoughts, and then we'll go into, I reached out to Edson because he did spend 2 years down in RGV starting out. He didn't get a lot of playing time, but when he was on the pitch, he had results. And then, Edson kind of, said what he thought here, and then I'm going to give you some stats that kind of show, hey, maybe that's not exactly he's kind of grown up or matured since those time frames.
It's a very exciting signing. Last season he was part of that 3-headed monster that was the forward line for Colorado Springs. and they were one of the best forward lines in the entire league with Galena, him, and Haji Berry.
Rebels Risings.
Yeah, fast. Beckford's super fast, to the point where he got his full Jamaican international debut last year. And in order to get on that Jamaican national team, the number one thing you have to be is fast. And even players that are fast don't make that team because they're not fast enough. The Jamaican international team is a very athletic team, super athletic. And he is a great fit on that team. And it's very exciting that we have him. I know I'll say we've had is this gonna be the third Jamaican national team player that we've had? That would be Lance,
Omar Gordon,
Omar, and now Deshane. And they've all been super good for the team. When they come in, they've been difference makers. And I think he's just going to be just that. My speculation is, well, we'll talk about positions later, but I think he's going to be he's going to end up being possibly the signing of the offseason for SAFC as far as offense is concerned.
Lots of crosses for Patino.
I think there's going to be crosses. Yeah. I think this
frees up Patino a little bit more because now you have a more dangerous.
Exactly. You're going to get somebody that goes to the end line a lot, and you're going to get Patino free, and that's why Haji Berry was so effective last season, is because Beckford would take over one of those center backs. Patino 1-on-1. Yeah, that's not even a contest. So exciting, yeah.
So when I reached out to Edson, who hosts Down in the Valley, has been a host. This will be, I think, season 6 or 7 for him. So congratulations to him for the top-notch coverage of RGV. He mentioned that he was explosive, which we all said, but he struggled with crossing and shooting accuracy. So I was kind of interested by that last number. So last year at Colorado Springs, he had the 5 goals, 7 assists. But last year he had 57 shots, 24 on target at 42.1%. Which, I was like, 42.1, is that good? I went and looked at Marcus Epps last year. I think we all thought he was pretty good. He had 76 shots, 20 on target, 26.3%. Nathan, who had 11 goals, 93 shots, 30 on target, 32.3. And Jose, who, as far as for volume shooters, had the highest rating, 72 shots, 28 on target, 38.9%. So to me, I'm not saying what Edson said was wrong, because that was his first 2 years down in down in RGV, moved to a more attacking style up at Colorado Springs, had probably a little bit better talent around him. And, like I said here, if he was on San Antonio FC last year, he would have been, assuming that he had the same results, he would have had the highest shots on target as far as accuracy going for the hair. So I thought that was a little bit interesting as far as, number one, how off we were last year. But that goes into, the type of play that Marcina likes, where if you get a shot, take it, along those lines here. So it'll be interesting to me, especially with the offense that we have, does he continue around that 40% clip, or, maybe even improve it a little bit? Your thoughts, Rafa, on number one, kind of that shooting accuracy, and is that kind of like a possession type stat, where sometimes the numbers don't really equal what you think that they mean?
I think they're deceiving, but look what he did with Haji Berry last year. I mean, they were the highest high octane offense, high scoring offense. They didn't have the defense like we have, but like I said, the reason we were bringing Beckford in is because the West is going to be a high octane offensive league, well, conference, and in order to complement Patino, this one more perfect player is Beckford. Look at all that he's done with, like I said, with Haji Berry. So I'm glad we have him on there. I know his first year is a little struggle, but we're having him on the team is gonna make a big difference, and I'm excited because, like I said, it's gonna free up Patino a lot. And who's to say Patino doesn't end up getting a golden boot because of this? Which I think he has a chance to do it. I'm not saying I'm not holding to it, but you never know because, like I said, it's gonna free him some space, and when you do get free of space, I mean, I guess kind of comparison when you add a little component is kind of like with like with Kareem Benzema. Ever since the other guys kind of went out, it kind of freed him up a little bit. I think this type of player complements Patino's play because Patino is a fast physical player, and so like I said, we're glad to have him, and he's young. He's only going to get better. So, and so like I said, it's just added. We're gonna have to score a bunch of goals in the Western Conference, no matter what. Because that's how everyone's stacking up this year.
So Royce, and I think Robert brings up a valid thing here, and you guys have kind of hinted on it, is does he track back on defense because Colorado gave up a ton of goals? To me, I think he's the Epps player this year. Maybe not on the same side, but he fills that role to where will he come back and help with the press and along those lines? Yes, but I don't think he's there specifically for that.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And probably the player that had the least amount of defensive pressure was Epps last season, ironically. It's kind of interesting how I'm probably too close there. It's interesting how SAFC's kind of gone, and they've kind of gotten players that look like their previous lineup in order to fill this. You have David Loera, who's like a 5'2" short guy. You have you have Beckford taking over for Epps, who's kind of a tall, slender guy. It's kind of interesting how they're doing that. But at the same time, I think that's where they slot. I think Loera is going to be on the left. I think you have Beckford on the right. I think you have them cutting in just like
Beckford
you have Jose
plays on
Epps.
the left, though.
Okay, switch. They're going to switch.
Okay,
they're going to switch.
Just putting it out there.
It's going to be a San Antonio FC thing where nobody, even the guy that plays the 10, he's going to be outside, and Patino's going to come back. You're going to get the dude playing number 10 go for it. That whole forward four is just it's going to be a carousel. And whoever's forward, whenever they get the ball and go forward, hey, that's the guy who's probably going to score the goal.
If it's a system, that's the Marcina system of play. That's what he's bringing in. And as far as the defense, I don't know, Robert kind of nervous about that. There's a reason why we have PC and Abu back there.
That's correct. That's the thing and that's kind of why I hope I don't eat my words, knock on wood. But that's why I'm not that scared of Colorado Springs. All they've done is reloaded on offense. They didn't really reload on defense or anything. They got
their defense is a lot better. We'll get to that in another show. But their defense has gotten a lot better.
Fair enough. I'm still not that scared of Colorado Springs, but we'll see. I think people are really hyping that team up for some reason. Same thing with New Mexico, but we'll see what happens with that. At the same time, it just seems like they're getting, as far as they can do, they're getting the band back together for this coming season. You're going to have, speed and dribbling coming in, and you're going to have.
Well, let's talk about that here. So
go ahead. Fire away.
This is Royce's, because SAFC plays a match this weekend. It's a friendly up at FC Dallas here, and
finally
we may or we may not see the full lineup, depending on who's healthy, who's not healthy, along those lines here. So, but take me to your starting lineup here that you have set up here.
Yeah, so this is how I think it's going to line up. Beckford's not on the wing. Notice that. One of the big reasons I don't think he's probably going to be on the wing, especially to begin with. And this is kind of a stupid thing. It's kind of a very aesthetic thing, but look at his number. That's the 8. The 8 is normally a box-to-box midfielder. I think that's what Beckford's going to be. I think he is going to be that guy in the middle, right in front of Abu. That's going to be the link between the attacking 3 and the defensive 5. I think that is where he's going to be set up. I'm sorry, defensive 6, as it were. I think that's where he's going to be set up, and I think that's where he's going to camp out right there. They're going to utilize his speed that way. And like I've said, I think everybody's going to rotate. Patino may be the one to be more forward more of the time,
Right.
but
These 3 here
I think
will-
those 3 just rotate everywhere. I think they just wreak havoc on defenses, and they just cycle through however they need to. I think Diouf is also going to be one of the I think at the end of the season, that's going to be one of those signings that you're like, oh, wow, that was
I'm excited for all 3 of these guys, to be honest.
Right. Much like it. So SAFC's off seasons, as far as their Ford core goes, has been found money. That has been their credo. Found money. Nathan, who's Nathan? Where's he going to start? We had to research everything about him. We had to figure it out. Did not know anything. Epps, we had a few videos of him dribbling forward with back when it was Seattle too.
Well, we talked about him being left back because he had played.
We thought he was going to be left back because he's the only dude that was left-footed out there. We didn't know a lot about these guys, and their transfer marked stats were not very high. I mean, Loera is like 165,000, and Diouf is somewhere right around there. They're just not that high, but at the same time, that's where Nathan and Epps were last season, and Nathan and Epps were 2 of the best players in the entire league. Now, is it that Marcina and SAFC put them in a position to excel? Yeah, that's exactly it. They're like, look, you got to come back. You got to put some pressure, and we're going to press as a team. But at the same time, when we go forward, we're going to put you in a great position to score, and there's going to be a lot of space for you to take up, because our back 6 is really going to be just stout. That's what they do. They defend, and they let you do what you need to do to operate as much as you need to. So that's why I'm very excited about that forward core, and I think they're going to excel, and I think they may be even better than last year's team.
So moving to the other side of the pitch here, Robert says, I love our defensive signings. Seem to get some of the top guys from other teams, Manley, Gomez, Garcia, and re-signing Tainter. So your thoughts on what you have set up in the back?
This is basically a slightly improved back 6 from last season. I mean, Abu was probably the most underrated signing last season. The guy was killer in the midfield. Even when we played El Paso, he shadowed Lucho, he shadowed Luna, and really shut them down. When we played Colorado Springs, he shadowed Haji Berry. Almost said Haji Wright. That's kind of funny. It was, Sanjewski, Haji Wright also played on the same team as Jose Gallegos. Let's move on. Haji Wright's also an American player. Moving on. But Abu was the one who shut down their number 1 forwards, and he did it consistently, and he was fantastic last season. Obviously, we know PC. He's a known entity, and he is the captain for a reason. He's fantastic. I don't think Maloney starts out as a right back or as a right wing back. I don't think he starts. He might, because he is the captain, and I would love to see him start again. But I think he is going to be a second half sub. I think Gomez is going to be the guy out there to as starting because of his speed. I think they're going to utilize his speed out there. And it might be switched. You might have Maloney back there to be the more dependable defender. And then when you need some speed in the second half, you bring in Gomez, and he's just flash all over the place.
Now, will Gomez be, as far as his play, as far as his crossing? Because I think they're going to have to utilize PC and Gomez for the crossing.
I'll have to do some.
That's going to be the key. If Gomez can send crosses like what PC did last year,
right, we're
going to have a very dangerous attack that they're going to have to kind of really
and you could even switch out Loera or Diouf and on my lineup right here for Collier, and then you have another dude that's 6'4" that can dribble, and he can go and look and hunting for headers and crosses. I think Gomez is a good crosser of the ball. I'll have to do some research for you, but I believe that's a big reason why they brought him in at the same rate. The back three that we have, Tintor, Garcia, Manley, that's basically a kind of a redone back line from last season. I think Garcia was the best center back among the Austin Bold team, and he was and Austin Bold was, as we know from last season, one of the hardest teams to play against. They were just annoying. They were really good. They had a really good back line, and they were just very hard to score on, except for my birthday game. Thank you very much, SAFC, for putting that 4-0 performance or was it 4-1 because of a stupid penalty? Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, Garcia's he's good. He's good. He's great in the air, and he's even better with his feet, and that's really why he's there. Obviously, we know Taintor, one of the best left-sided center backs in the league, and Manley last season was one of the best right-sided center backs in the league, and he's obviously, we've talked about it before, the forward replacement, and he's the perfect forward replacement. He's also really good with his feet. So,
any concern with the team being a little bit shorter? Because I know Garcia is not that 6'2", Manley's not that 6.
No,
I'm just asking.
Go with me here.
It's more speed.
Correct, and that is exactly what we found out last season. If you remember, last season we started out. We had the tallest of center backs. We had Schuberg, 6'7", Giraffe out there. We had Doyle, tall, huge.
Well, no, but I'm talking about Ford and Kamiri. You know, Ford, Kamiri, and Taintor, where you had the height and the speed. Now, to be fair, that's MLS quality.
Yeah.
Quality where
and beyond. I don't know why Kamiri was in MLS. I think that dude's going to get a really nice job in Europe somewhere. But yeah, I mean, no, Kamiri's just a freaking giant. Like, I'm 6'1", 6'2" in the proper shoes. That guy made me feel short. Good Lord. Whenever we greeted him in the airport, I was like, good. Dude, freaking huge. Tunisian Terminator, shout out, man. Hope you're doing all right over in Tunisia.
And then the final one here, you have Bonilla starting over
correct.
Far. And I know you kind of hinted on that earlier. Is that what you see as well, Rafa? And I know we're not in camp, but if you were to pre-camp here, putting on your goalkeeper hat.
You could, but but also you can go with Far because he is familiar with the back line. Well, mostly with Tainer and PC. You know, he understands how to arrange whatever defensive systems and shapes Morcina implements. So, he's going to have the leg up on that. But I can see Bonilla maybe having the edge because of the experience and then him having that play, that more high level play down in South America. So, but I mean, like I said, they're interswitchable. That's a great thing about that. So, but I think I'm going to give the edge to Bonilla on that just because where he's coming from, and you're not going to pay all that money to have him sit on the bench too. So, especially the value he has. They made a splash there. I mean, it's you don't see that from some of the other teams when it comes to goalkeeping like that.
See, this is my concern. I'm not happy about Bonilla. I'm Team Far. Don't start that, Robert. We don't need that again.
I'm happy with the depth that we have. It's crazy that we have this depth. It's great. At the same time, we'll see what happens. It's going to be those three, and they're going to fight for the position, and the best player is going to get that starting position. So it's more players, more quality players and better competition. That's capitalism, baby.
We've had that logjam before in the past, so
yeah. Well, may the best player win that starting spot.
So, switching to our final topic before we just get to news and notes and final things here. Concacaf qualifying for the World Cup. I think mixed results for us. I think Rafa's a little bit more happier than I would be if I was in Mexico shoes, but I think they had a pretty successful window. Canada's running away with it, and I know it's only 4 points, but they haven't lost yet. They won all of their matches 2-0, including one over the United States. Although listening to our coach, we had a a great performance, or I forget the exact word that he had now, but along those lines. But they rebounded against Honduras with a 3-0 win in a game that I don't know if I would have recommended them to play, but they got the job done. Shout out to the U.S. men's national team and the Honduras players for playing in those conditions. Along those lines, Mexico beat Jamaica 2-1 on a red card, got 2 goals late, tied a tough Costa Rica team 0-0, and then beat Panama 1-0 at home here. So heading into the final matches here, United States is tied for second at 21 points, with Mexico ahead on goal differential. A 4-point lead over the pivotal fourth place match, which is Panama, which is one there, and then 5 points ahead out of missing out altogether. So we'll first kind of talk. We'll go with you, Mexico here first. Rafa, your thoughts on this window here, and then we'll go to Royce for thoughts on the U.S. window, and then we'll look ahead briefly, just because last window before we find out is the United States and Mexico qualifying for the World Cup, which is Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I was just like when we talked about the last time, I was just hoping to at least get 7 points, and which we did.
We got 7 points.
We got the 7 points. Anything less would have been a disaster. I mean, the comeback win against Jamaica, finally they put some of the younger players that started creating chances and got the goals in. The Croatia game, I wasn't happy about that. They just play with no effort. But also you got to give it to Keylor Navas. He made some great saves too. I mean, that's why he's one of the top keepers in the world. And then the game against Panama kind of almost mirrored some closer to the Costa Rica game, but they were able to get that PK. I know Panama's crying about it, but it was a PK. I mean, they took Linus out in the box, so they were to secure that. Everybody in the media saying it's a PK. You may not have, but it was a PK. So I mean, it was a PK, but they're in good shape. I mean, like I said, they got the 7 points. They're up a game and a half on Panama, and like I said, it's coming down to the last 3 games, and the big one's going to be March 24th against the USA.
We're going to get to that here in a second. Royce, you go.
As far as the U.S.'s window, I'm still disappointed they played that third match. I don't think they had any business doing that. That was just dangerous. And I know a couple of the
200 players
ended up getting hypothermia, getting subbed out. And I hope they're doing okay, man. That's and I saw Reggie Cannon's ears also took a hit. I don't know if you saw on social media, his ears were in bad shape after that match. It's not funny. Hopefully they all recover 100%. They did get the result. So, I mean, it is what it is. That loss in Canada wasn't great. But I mean, Canada's they're hot as nothing right now. I mean, look at that game-winning goal that they scored against El Salvador that had no business going in. Like, when you're hot, you're hot. It is what it is. And typically teams like that, they fall from grace quickly because that magic just disappears. So we'll see what happens with them in the future. At the same time, good Lord, they just got they got lucky in that match, and they've had luck on their side for sure, for whatever reason. But you have to put yourself in a good position to capitalize on that luck, and they have. But as far as the window goes, the U.S. getting 6 points. I said 5 points is acceptable. Anything above that is great. They got 6 points. That's a great result. That's fine.
Yeah. It's to me, it was the minimum that they needed to get.
Yeah.
So to me, I really think it comes down. I think Canada's, I know mathematically not clinched yet, but realistically they are.
We'll see.
United States, Mexico, comfortable positions. I like Mexico's position a little bit better because they do play the United States at home, and then they go on the road to Honduras. And
let me be a jerk and interrupt real quick. Also, that game that they played against El Salvador wasn't exactly the most non-bumpy game because the El Salvador players had an issue with their federation where they, I guess, didn't get paid out their bonus and get paid their wages.
Yeah, they didn't get paid.
So that's another big thing where Canada really took advantage of because maybe their players weren't exactly playing 100% to win that match. So because they had other things going on, Canada getting lucky.
They're
This
probably played
time,
under protests.
correct. They almost did. Yeah, they played at a protest. That's correct. Played under protest. This next window that's coming up, they play 2 Concacaf games in Concacaf areas. They might lose both of those matches. They play Costa Rica in Costa Rica. Noted crappy place to play. So, and not that Costa Rica's crappy. Costa Rica's gorgeous. I'm saying it sucks to play there. The crowds are very not supportive, and it's a very tough place to play. So we'll see how that goes. And they play Jamaica. Jamaica is just one of those teams that any day they can just decide to beat you. They can get it together. They'll have Mikel Antonio, and that dude can win a game by himself. He drew the game by himself, basically, with that nonsense goal that he scores against the U.S. from 30, 40 yards out. So Canada could have a really rough window coming up. And you could see the U.S. go on top. You could see Mexico go on top of the group. It's still very wide open.
I just think because they got a 4-point lead that whether they win the group, to me, I don't care. To me, it's about being in the top 3.
Right. That's the name of the game. Get in the top 3 so you can get the World Cup. Nobody cares where your position is after that. Period. You're right.
Because depending on what, you could win the group and maybe improve the pot that you go into, but it's still randomized. But you got to get to the World Cup draw.
And they're
top
8 points.
Top 3 is where it's at.
They're 8 points clear from that 4th spot. Everybody cares about that 8-point lead. Canada's probably going to the World Cup. You're right. They are 99.9% in. Barring an Atlanta Falcons collapse, they're going to go to the World Cup. Which, by the way, the anniversary was like a couple days ago, so that's kind of sad.
You can see on the games, Panama and Costa Rica have it tough, and they lose one game, it's pretty much over. They're gonna have to win out to get at least get 9 points. I know, like with Panama, if they can get to 26, that's the only way they can probably get guaranteed spots. Same thing with Costa Rica, but you see, they have to play the top 2 teams. A loss pretty much does them in, and like I said, and if you look at Mexico has the easier, besides the United States, they have the easiest 2 matches left, which is Honduras, which have not played very well, and El Salvador. So
I think the United States has the toughest path because you got to go to Mexico. They've never won in Mexico.
Yeah,
you come back to play Panama, and everybody in the United States does not want that March 30th game to matter for the United States. They want to have it locked up by that time. So when they go down to Costa Rica, it's not something that they have to play for. And I think, to me, win or lose against Mexico, to me, that March 27th against Panama at home it's
a must win.
It is a must win for the United States. I don't know if Royce feels, how Royce feels about that. To me, my question to you is the United States a must win for Mexico? And not so much for the qualification, because I do think you get Honduras even away. Honduras is already eliminated, as we've seen, and then you get El Salvador. Probably by that time they'll be eliminated as well. So, is that? And it's not so much for the qualification, but is it a must-win for Mexico? Number one, they've lost 3 times to the United States in a row. I know 3 times in 2021, right? For that here, so for the morale, for Tata's coaching career for U.S. Mexico national team, is it a must-win?
I think so, for us, just to get confidence, and then this game you will have a Azteca Stadium. So you're gonna have
2 games for the bad chant.
Yeah,
will be over.
They've already replaced that chant. So, which is a nice one, but. Yeah, you're gonna see it's gonna be a hostile environment going there, and I think Mexico understands if they can knock off the USA, basically they can go get a couple ties the last 2 games, or at least if they win 2 out of the 3, they're in. USA is kind of in the same situation. They have to win. I think with them just winning one, or if they win 2 out of the 3, they're in. I think the tougher path is Panama and Costa Rica because they both have Canada, on their schedules, and
Both at home though. That's the huge
both,
advantage.
yeah. And then
I
that's
think
another
the
thing.
big
Canada,
difference for is that week 2 where Panama goes to the United States, where Costa Rica goes to El Salvador. So I think that's going to be the pivotal match. I think who gets that 4th slot to be able to play. Was it the Oceanic team?
Yeah, New Zealand probably, more likely. So, like I said, Panama and Costa Rica have a lot to play for, and they have to win out in order to really, either get that 3rd slot or at least be in contention for that 4th spot to qualify for that other qualifier. The one loss pretty much does them in.
So moving on to news and notes, my big news was RGV in Las Vegas finally made announcements. I'm not going to tell you who they announced, but they made announcements. I will say RGV's the playing cards was pretty cool as far as a way to do the announcements. As far as an old school, guy that collected baseball cards in the 80s for that here. The other big news, Rafa wanted to make sure we mentioned here, Washington Spirit signed forward Trinity Rodman for $1.1 million, which is the highest salary for NWSL. So, and she's awesome to watch. Your guys' thoughts or any other news that you guys had on either Miss Rodman or RGV in Las Vegas finally making some player announcements and Las Vegas finally announcing their coach.
Well, kudos to Trini on that. I'm sure the Worms, who used to play for the Spurs, is happy for getting that big contract. So I'm sure she's going to do well this upcoming season. And then as far as the signings for Las Vegas and about time. I'm sure Edson's been sweating it out down there in the valley as far as what type of team they're going to have coming up. I know they lost some key players, so we'll see what
key players.
Yeah, so we'll see how. I mean, it's going to be tough. So if they're going to have a kind of like almost a brand new squad, and how long is it going to take for them to kind of build that chemistry to be in contention?
Well, they supposedly start camp with 2 announced players. Any comments you have on the news or notes or anything you want to add there, Royce, before we get into final thoughts?
News and notes. Yeah, I guess that's not really a final thought. I'll add it as a news. Congrats to Atezdiv and rumored trialist with SAFC, Omar Cease on Senegal winning the African Cup of Nations. That's amazing. That's a heck of a result against Egypt. And I don't know if y'all saw the picture of what's his name from Liverpool. Good Lord, Salah. No, Mohamed Salah. Complaining to the ref about a call, and the ref literally gets all of his cards, gets his book, gets his whistle, and hands them to Mohamed Salah. Like, do you want to do this job? And then shut up and go play. It's fantastic. So, heck of a result for Senegal. Congrats.
Robert, I know Mark Bay tweeted out that Omar Assis was in the camp, is expected to sign, but I don't have SAFC's
right.
schedule.
That's why it's a trialist. He is a trialist. He is not a player yet. He is a trialist, but considering how good he was last season for the Bold, would not surprise me if he turns into next week's signing, which also, spoiler alert, we should at least get one kit announcement this coming week because they do have a road match at FC Dallas. So we should get the road kit shown off for this next upcoming season.
They're using their practice ones.
Yeah,
well, last year that's what they did before their first road preseason match. They announced the road kit because they have 3 they have to announce before, and then the home is going to be announced before the 27th.
I think they present both jerseys at the Tulsa game. I have a feeling
Maybe,
they may use it
possibly.
just the practice ones for the first 2 games.
Could
But
be.
I think they give a bigger, more splash. I think maybe for that Tulsa game they'll have.
I am trying to tease this. I'm trying to be hopeful. I'm trying to build up some excitement, and you guys are killing it.
What I can say is this, because I went to Soccer Factory this week. They said if you are the as far as how the fit of the shirt,
Right.
it's going to be similar to the Nike one, so you might have to wear a size a little bit bigger.
Fine. That's
Doesn't
fine.
make it
XL. Sign me up for an XL. I'm comfortable in a SAFC XL. Okay, we need to get to final thoughts. We're extending this. This is supposed to be a short show because we're just doing SAFC. Same darn length. Continue. Sorry.
James mentioned any of you guys going to the FC match. AJ's got a match in Austin, so I am not. Any of you two traveling up?
Probably not. I'll probably be live streaming a game if there's a good game.
I'll be watching from home, hopefully.
My final thoughts is going to be you can't really see that very well here. The Preston watch is over. Kevin Bass, who comes to us from Reno 1868, also did coverage with the baseball team there for him, is going to be taking over the PR for that for Spurs Sports and Entertainment here. He announced in a tweet. So in speaking with the guys that did 1868 Weekly, he mentioned Kevin's a great guy, very easy to work with. So obviously we had a great relationship with Preston. Looking forward to working with Kevin and
Still have
congratulations.
a great relationship with Preston. Let's not.
No, dude, he's old news now. He's
wow.
Preston, who? I'm all about Kevin now.
Old news. Welcome, Kevin. Looking forward to really annoying you soon.
So, but that's my final thought. Like I said here, just welcome. I wanted to get that in. I know it's not technically SAFC player related, but for us that do this, and then obviously anybody that follows SAFC, like I said here with Reno 1868, they always had pretty cool social media presence. So I'm excited that he's coming over. In talking with Bradley, who used to do 1868 and now does Orange and Black Soccer Cast with Orange County. Soccer's his passion, baseball wasn't. So he got the when he got the opportunity to do this. And then one of the stories that I've heard through the grapevine is when Preston and them won that award for best social media. He said that he wanted one of those, and unfortunately, RIP to Reno. So I think we'll be back contending, for the USL PR award. So congratulations to Kevin. Rafa, your final thought, real quick.
Final thoughts. I just want to give a little shout out to the Dripping Springs soccer booster. They sent me this little nice beanie. So I'm now honorary member of the Tiger Nation. So thank you for that. So if you guys are watching, thank you. I got to wear it this Saturday. Kept me nice and warm. So I'll be proud of wearing that. And also be on the lookout for Power 15. It's gonna come midweek, so I'll be working on that. There was a couple upsets, a couple big wins for some teams. So we'll be having that in midweek, but I'll be live from Round Rock, Texas. So for that show, so I'll be live from the hotel room.
So will Dripping Springs be making an appearance? Into your.
Well, they're still they're in Austin. So I mean, if they were in our kind of area, and also final thought, we did have realignment and did change the shape of a lot of the districts, and which we'll mention about sometime.
We'll talk about that this week. Yeah.
So this is just my final thoughts. So make sure to watch this coming the high school version of the show. That's just to give you a little preview for that. But thank you again for Dripping Springs Booster Club for giving me this. Royce,
your final thought?
We call that in the industry a teaser. Very nice. I'm excited. There's a lot of development coming for SAFC. First preseason match is Saturday. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's get 2022 start off the right way. Let's go. excited.
And then James Hope mentioned champ practice, pardon me, if I could speak, is in the works. So if you're part of the Crocketeers, Mission City, 210 Alliance, setting the bunker along those lines here, or, I've expressed my concerns to see if San Antonio FC can open up the bunkers, both to the operations manager as well as to my ticket guy and everybody else. So if you want to be able to go into the bunker, it sounds like this year we may be able to. It's not worked out yet, but it's looking more positive than it did last year. So if you can pay attention to social media, emails, under the 3 supporters groups, that will be coming, because the season's a month away, a little bit over that. So for San Antonio FC, I know we wanted to keep it a little bit shorter, and Royce talked too much.
Whoops, that happens. My wife's gonna be mad either way.
Now I can bring my
whoops.
drum and show my professional drumming skills.
Hey, yeah. I'll bring my kit. We'll have a good time.
But we're gonna get out of here. What's life without goals? Hope everybody has a great weekend. I think it's Wednesday. I believe it's Wednesday that Rafa and we'll see if we can bring on a guest here to talk about the high schools, especially with the realignment. But what's life without goals? Hope everybody has a great week, and see you on Wednesday.
Peace.